Um, I feel like I saw something about this. I always talk about this. The frog in the pan analogy. Ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Right.
Where they don't know that they're burning
like,
until they boil, until they reach the boiling point.
So there's like two types of fear. Let's say what scares you the most? The fact that the earth is gonna boil up and end up exploding, or you losing your job and your income right now and not be able to feed your family, right? And I feel like the fear of like environmental fear will always be like a little bit like under the rug or whatever, because it's like the frog, right? You can't see it, you can feel it, and then it blows up in your face. And I feel like that's kind of like how we operate as humans. We don't change stuff, we don't do anything until things literally explode in our face and we die from it.
Yeah, but even in this circumstance, when it's exploding in our face, look at what people say about climate change. Like, they deny it, they say it's a lie, they say it's like different factors. Like, Trump turns around and will literally say, oh, like all these wildfires aren't happening because climate change has made like the California forests an environment for even more wildfires than before, with like all the fucking dry land and shit like that. But instead, it's like Antifa that's lighting the forest on fire, or instead it's just the shrubbery, it's the bushes that they don't fucking sweep around. So it's very it's very powerful. It's very difficult to go against that, especially when there's a lot of financial motivation tied to misinformation in this way.
Right.
You know,
isn't there experts to counteract that?
There are, but they don't. But they, first of all, they have their own set of experts that they literally fucking lie through. Like the Koch brothers, for example, is a pretty good example of this. Like they're in the oil business. So while that's destroying the fucking planet, they have spent billions of dollars creating their own rank of experts that they can just like fucking put on television to say that's wrong, or build their own think tanks to produce research that, you know, tells them that it's not the truth. That's not the truth. That it's actually great that we're drilling oil, and find counter messaging to say stuff like it's actually energy independence that we're going after, and it doesn't matter that we're destroying the planet, for example.
Right. Yeah, that kind of sucks. This makes me think of the store with the this comes. I digress, but this the store with the girl with the coffee at McDonald's that got burned or whatever, right?
Yeah. Think about the misinformation.
Exactly. It didn't matter what the truth is, what the story is. It didn't matter what's her side, what actually happened, right? All that mattered is how they presented the information with the lowers and
yeah. Everyone still fucking thinks about that. I didn't know the fucking truth about that situation. And I for the longest time thought like, oh, it's so dumb. Like, she didn't even fucking know. Like, meanwhile, McDonald's was making that coffee that hot because it was, even though it was literally just like, should have been illegal to make the coffee that fucking hot. But it would keep it warm for the longest period of time. They just used everything they could to attack and vilify this one person who like had a legitimate grievance. Grievance that like they had to get a fucking skin graft. And I think they were
multiple skin grafts.
Yeah. They had to get skin grafts. I don't think they could have children anymore. Like they fucking literally almost died.
Yeah, she needed a complete reconstruction of like certain parts. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and now most people still remember that as like, Americans are so stupid. You need to, you need your brands to tell you.
Hot, lol.
Yeah. You need your brand to tell you that like your coffee is too fucking hot. Like, oh, this is crazy.
Coffee's too hot. Just don't touch it and just don't drink it.
Yeah. So
that's really odd.
So they still, and that message stuck for years, and we still, we still don't know most people still don't know the truth of that. Most people probably just learned about this now, like literally just now.
Well, I don't want to be I don't want to be like a complete tinfoil hat Andy, but I feel like if that's one of the stories that was like sort of quote unquote debunked, whatever. I mean, how many of the things that we just that are just common knowledge are not debunked and are not like known? I feel like there's a lot of it. Right?
Of course, and you can in most circumstances tie it back to like goals of individuals in positions of power in almost all of it. Like, most people in America, for example, don't know that reparations were supposed to be given to black people after the abolition of slavery, right? In America. And this is actually something that's relevant to the conversation today, because Donald Trump is like constantly talking about how like even mentioning slavery is bad because, you know, we shouldn't be talking about that, even though the legacy of that still hurts black people to this day, and not just their fucking feelings. Like, there's a reason why black people are poorer on average than white people. There's a reason why white people have 7 times more wealth than black people do in this country, right? And reparations were given in the aftermath of abolition of slavery. They were given to white slave owners. The government literally gave slave owners money for the slaves that they freed forcibly, but not the actual slaves themselves. Like, this is yet another example that rarely gets talked about or rarely gets taught, and people don't fucking know that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, how would that not play a significant role? How would that not play a significant role, or at the very least show you what even the fucking government that abolished slavery thought about black people at the time?
Yeah, because in their perspective, it's like, oh, dude, all the people that are making your income, now we're abolishing that. So it's like if I remove all the machines or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm gonna word it so poorly, I'm gonna fucking get canceled.
No, you're fine.
It's wrong, but in their perspective, it's like, oh, all the owners, whatever, lose the stuff that makes revenue. Oh, we have to make up for that.
Yeah,
but they don't care about the actual.
But they don't actually care about the workers or the human beings.
Human. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. That's at the heart of the same dynamic that we were talking about earlier. To like bring it back to fucking to in some way bring it back to misinformation that favors those in positions of power, and also the dynamic between someone who is a laborer and a worker who creates value versus those who take that profit and do whatever they want with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just how it works. And I don't even claim that I know what the fucking perfect future is. Like, I think that there are plenty of problems with past examples where people have tried and failed pretty significantly to find a different organization of to create a different version of the world or a different organization of the economy, socialism or the USSR, for example. So there were significant failures there too. What we need to do is learn from those failures and honestly try to build a better future, a better vision that helps as many people as possible, and including people fucking overseas that we can't even see. But we can't even, in America at least, we can't even help fucking other Americans. Like, it's crazy. We can't even get other Americans to fucking realize that, like, we could actually get socialized medicine here. Like, we have enough money. And people fucking attack me every day and say that I'm a communist and I'm crazy for advocating for that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Healthcare is a difficult topic. I'm not very good at it because it has a lot of moving parts and a lot of things.
Well, think about it easily, right? You live in Canada. There's some problems with your healthcare system, but overall, it still is better than America. What?
It's just overpacked. Like, it's fucking it's crowded. It's like.
Yeah, that's because everyone can get it if they need it. Of course, there's gonna be problems within a free healthcare system too. But the difference is, in America, if you're poor, you just die, or you don't go to the doctor because you're too afraid to fucking. If you're poor, you don't go to the doctor at all. So that way, you ration healthcare to the wealthy. And even then, it's not that. Even then, American healthcare is crowded too.
Yeah. Wait. Chat saying Supega, it's not crowded. Listen, when I was in the United States, I started puking for no reason, like uncontrollably. I went to the hospital and I got treated in like 6 minutes. If I did that, where I live and I went to DR, they give me a ticket and they say come back in 9 hours.
Well, emergency room hours, at least empirically, from what I understand, in Canada are either the exact same as the United States or even faster. Like what you're talking, like there's a meme where people say like Canadian healthcare is worse than America because there's a lot of rationing, but and also I don't know how Quebec works, so I don't know.
Quebec's probably one of the worst.
Yeah, but yeah, some provinces might be more underfunded than other places, but overall, if you look at it across the board in Canada, their healthcare outcomes specifically for emergency rooms is like their wait times are similar to the United States. Yeah, studies by the Commonwealth found that 42% of Canadians waited 2 hours or more in the emergency room versus 29% in the United States. So, Canadian healthcare, Canada, by the way, is the only country where socialized medicine outcomes are, what do you call it? Are a little bit worse than others. Like,
wasn't worse.
UK is better than the United States on like by nearly all measurable metrics. Every fucking European country's healthcare outcomes are better than the United States by like most measurable metrics, with the exception of Canada. Canada is the only country with like a more comprehensive healthcare system that yields certain outcomes that are better than the United States overall, and some outcomes that are worse. Wait times often are a significant problem, but only because of rationing healthcare and trying to make sure that you get to the people that have immediate needs. But the way to solve that is, of course, funding the system appropriately, rather than like, I don't know, trying to privatize it.
Yeah. Also, we have a problem where nurses and people in the health departments are extremely overworked. I mean, I think that's everywhere, but I think in Quebec it's been a problem for years now. Like last 5 years, it's more like publicized in the papers and in the news and everywhere I did, where like they juice the fuck out of them. Like they juice them to a crisp, right? And it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, the way to solve that, though, is by getting more nurses, getting more immigrants to come into the country, getting more nurses, training more people, and funding hospitals and funding the public healthcare system that you have in place already.
Right.
Like, that's the way to do it. But that's a really complicated problem. And most people are immediately like, oh, no, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because everyone is like caught up in this rugged individualist mentality. Okay.
Last thing for I leave then. Last thing. When people talk about like a budgeting or like, oh, just put more money into that or this, are those things impossible? Because if you can't just do that, because if your budget is already established, you have to cut out of something to put into something else, and the impacts of cutting in that will have like a big impact immediate. Just like I don't know how the U.S. military works, but I would assume that some countries or some places or some sort of something depends on a part of U.S. military, right? And if they just cut overnight, it would have like certain impacts, right?
Sure.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, like if America cut its military spending in half tomorrow, then how the fuck do you pay for all the veterans' salaries, for example? Like, are you going to just fire millions of people that work for the military? Like, there's, of course, significant complications that come out of that as well. There's a couple ways that you can do it. Like, you can deficit spend, so you can spend more money than you actually have, which is something that America does all the fucking time. And because we own the global economy pretty much, and that most global spending happens on the dollar, and most currencies are adjusted to the dollar, that we have the capability of printing more money and just being like, yeah, we have more money now. but that's too complicated. I don't want to get into like quantitative easing and shit. But there is always money, and there's always more money that we could actually suck out of the fucking corporations and the wealthy that we simply do not, because they claim that they just, without any evidence whatsoever, they claim that they're just going to leave the country and go somewhere else, when all evidence shows that they do not do that. They stay in the country even if they're taxed more. The wealthy claim that they'll just always be able to find a way around the taxes, so therefore we shouldn't just like tax them more, when the government should be punishing these people for hiding the money that they are generating off of the American workers, or the Canadian workers in Canadian corporations. So there's always a way to get more money out of corporations and the wealthy, and there's always a way to reappropriate your funds. It's just that we don't really have the energy, and politicians don't want to do it, is what I mean, because it's a difficult task, and they're afraid of the billionaires.
That's one. That's maybe it's a different topic, but that's one of my big problems that I have too, where like it's difficult. I would assume, it's not a feeling that I have, but I would assume that people would get annoyed to like do other taxes properly, not find loopholes, like pay other taxes, like do all the right things, when the people of power, the people that are setting the example, like the government sometimes doesn't do it themselves or something, right? Like when some official or some big person gets like caught doing like tax fraud or something like that, and like, bitch, you're supposed to like, set the example, right? So how are we supposed to do the right thing when we can't even trust the people above? It's so like it's the very people that are setting the example that are breaking their own rules, and
they're not even breaking their own rules. They're literally setting the rules and then breaking them on top of that, while simultaneously acting like the rules are too hard to begin with for them. Yeah, and that only happens, and this goes back to the heart of my argument, that only happens because they make all the money. They choose what to do with the profits. You don't. As a worker, they could literally, if they have all the means, they could literally just say, I'm not going to pay you that much. I'm going to pay you even less. It's a delicate balance that they need to strike, though. So if they underpay you so much, you will recognize the position that you're in and be like, what the fuck? You're not paying me anything while you're living in a goddamn fucking mansion. Fuck you. I'm going to go and take some more money from you. This is bullshit. I can't fucking feed my family. So they have to give you just enough of the crumbs so you shut the fuck up and you're healthy, or you think you're doing well. But while simultaneously taking as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, well, it's just upsetting, because then it's like, well, a healthcare system sucks. The roads all cracked up. We can't even drive properly. There's potholes everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And then you hear like stories of like some government official like giving themselves like raises and bonuses, and then like going on vacation and mismanaging funds, and some top officials doing like tax fraud and shit. And it's like, dude, the people at the top are trolling, and you want me to pay like 57% taxes? I feel like it makes such a hostile environment, and I think that fuels people to do like tax fraud or like to not do tax properly. I think that it's like a big distrust, you know? It's like a very bad environment.
Yeah, you're a sucker if you play the game correctly. You're a sucker because you're giving a lot more of the money that you've generated than most of the other people. And it's like the prisoner's dilemma. It's like a game where like everyone else that's min-maxing and everyone else that's not paying taxes or hiding their fucking taxable income is getting away with it, and you're being you're being a sucker for not cheating. That's what you're saying, right? Hello? Hello? I lost.
Oh, so I was muted. Sorry, I clicked the fucking talk button, but when I'm not streaming, it mutes instead. It's like it makes you want to be part of the problem, because if you're part of the solution, there's no positive impact, immediate or long term, or don't feel.
No, there is a positive impact.
Well,
like
there is, but it's hard. You don't feel as much as the one as if you do wrong. And you look all around you. Hey man, my neighbor's doing it, my peers doing it, my competitors are doing it, and the people above me that are doing the role are also doing it. So what the fuck am I not part of the problem?
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand why it's fucking frustrating. Like, the way I see it is, look, I already make way more money than I know what to fucking do with it. I don't have long-term security, and neither do you, even with the amount of money that you make, because it could all fucking go away tomorrow. But ultimately, we don't have power to protect ourselves forever. So there's always more money that you can make to make sure that you are secure and have a future for yourself without worry that like you might fucking starve or anything like that. But the way I see it is like, I make more money than I know what to fucking do with it. I don't really have a problem because I understand that I understand that like some of that money, even though a lot of it is being reappropriated to places that I wouldn't want it to go to, like the fucking military and like weapons and so much other bullshit, paying politicians salaries.
It does fund good also.
Still funds, yeah, it still funds the roads. It still funds the fucking hospitals. It still funds the infrastructure. It still funds the schools.
Exactly. You're right. You're right.
So that's why I see it. Like, what am I gonna do? Shove it in my ass?
That's how I see charity. It's kind of like a.
Yeah, there would be no need for charity if the government actually fucking did its goddamn job. That's why I'm frustrated with charity all the time.
If you take away the systematic problem and you just look at the actual problem in this scenario, because I feel like if you look at the systematic things, you don't get anywhere unless you make a significant change across all levels.
Yeah, and the only way to implement systemic change that is a necessity to better everyone's life is through organization. This is exactly what I preach. This is exactly what I talk about on a daily basis. Like, just like you don't have any power within your corporation because it's literally built like an authoritarian dictatorship. Right. If you work a fucking retail job, your boss is like a dictator. There is no democracy there. You can't be like, hey boss, I don't want to come in on Monday because I'm sick. If you don't have any fucking sick days, your boss is gonna be like, no, fuck off. You're coming in on Monday. I don't give a shit if you're sick. You know?
Right.
That, if you think about it from the point of view of politics, you're like, what the fuck? That's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
But we're conditioned into thinking that it's not. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be authoritarian.
It's almost like the only democracy in that system sort of is actually on the consumer side, whether they buy or not buy. That's kind of like.
And even then, there's no democracy there because we're always going to buy. There's no way to organize consumers. Like, there's literally no way to fucking organize consumers to be like, oh yeah, we're not going to use Amazon for the day. Like, there's no way. You can't escape Amazon. They own everything on the internet. Right. They own so much. And it's pretty much impossible. That's why I always say, like, organizing on the labor side is the only effective way that you could make changes in a workplace, and organizing on the politics side is the only way that you can make effective change in the realm of politics. Yeah,
it's kind of like dude, I don't know how you see that. This is kind of just my take. Like boycotting Andy's, like, dude, I'm not buying this anymore.
Yeah, good luck.
And then you look at the fucking quarterly reports, like, okay, they have increased sales by like 170%. They're like, okay, well, nice boycott, bro. Like they actually went up. But like, what are you on about, right? But what I was talking about earlier about the charity thing is that if you don't look at the long term problem or solution, just straight up just charity, you'll go into charity and somebody will say, oh, dude, if you donate there, the CEO is paid $3 million.
Yeah, charity's a scam too, because they're also run like a capitalist corporation.
Yeah. But then you're like, yeah, you're right. But they're with only money, not involvement or volunteering, with actual dollar figures, it is one of the best ways to do good with your money, right? Is it by donating to a charity or making your own organization, right? But there isn't much other options than to donate.
Yeah. Well,
right?
because systemic change is really hard.
So yeah, you do fuel a CEO and whatever, but you also do fuel good. You also power up good things, which you kind of have to take the hit that, yeah, okay, it feels a little bit bad, but it does feel good, and I have to go through the bad to get the good, and there isn't a lot of alternatives.
Well, that's how I see taxes. Like, that's literally how I see taxes.
So I said that. And I made a parallel between taxes and charities, that you kind of have to feel the CEO to donate to some kid that needs the money or needs the health, right? And it's a big takeaway when you know that. But at the same time, how do you feel about the CEOs making a lot of money? I feel like if you do well in any field, you should have incremental bonuses based on how well you do. If your charity was bad and it was generating like $2,000 a year and now generates $2 billion, you should sort of be incrementally rewarded for being successful in that particular field or whatever, right? So
well, it's not even supposed to be for profit, though. Remember, these are non-profits. You know what I mean? Like, charity is not supposed to be about like making as much money as possible. Charity is supposed to be about helping as many people as possible. But unfortunately, the way that most people think about charity is exactly the way that you just mentioned it, which is literally about like how much money it can generate. And then CEOs are compensated off of that as though they're like literally fucking competing against other charities.
Yeah, but I feel like we see that as bad. But I feel like in our economical system, maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but I feel like in our system, like, these guys are kind of like competing, and if a charity company, because they're companies, like do well and pop off, right? There's an incentive to pop off. Yeah, also of course you do good, but there's an incentive to pop off and do better, right? So yeah. It's difficult. I feel like in capitalism, why would the CEO of a company, a charity or not, would do better, put more hours, be smarter, be competitive, do good shit, whatever, if there isn't a raise at the end of the day somewhere, somehow? People say, "Oh, bad take because of that."
Well, I mean, think about it this way: do you just do streams? Do you just? Okay, here I'll bring it back to your worldview, right? Do you stream 15 hours a day because you're making the most money, or are there other reasons?
Of course not. It's like a mix. It's like a mix of things that are like it's kind of like a diagram.
Yeah. So like, profit is one part of it, but there are so many other underlying factors that incentivize you, right? I know this because I say this about you and for certain reasons about, like, for other reasons about Asmongold, for example. I think you might correct me if I'm wrong, but you're very similar to me, where you're like very competitive in the streaming side of things. So that competition, like, is one of the biggest factors. Another factor is the fact that you like your audience and you want to, like, you love streaming. Like, you actually enjoy streaming and you like having that back and forth, that fucking adrenaline rush, the dopamine hit, and like being able to have a community that loves you and fostering that community. That's something that you like, right? And also being on the top of the fucking leaderboard.
Well, if a game comes out and I'm gonna see the beginning of the game, the scenes and the ending, right? It's cool to be at the top of the directory when a new game comes out. So it's like everybody's seeing it with me at the same time, and this is like big ball of energy that we're all gonna see the things at the same time. And I'm in front, and I'm in the. It's like you're in the moment. You're like part of something, and you're also creating that thing, and it's very like empowering. And people say, "Yeah, but did you have more viewers, dude? That day? Well, you made way more money on primes and ads, dude, and you made like."
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They're never gonna understand that. Look, you could literally look. There are streamers that min-max, right? You and I both know. At the top of the directory, there are fucking streamers who min-max and like literally just do 6 hours, 3 days a week, and they still have fuckload of viewers, and they're still big brands, and they maintain that status. You don't do that when it comes to fucking streaming. Like, when it comes to your streaming hours, right? Do you? You don't. You fucking stream for like 11 hours, and sometimes you stream for 10 hours, sometimes most of the time you stream for fucking 11 hours because you enjoy streaming. That's the way I see it, at least. Like, for me, I could easily make enough money by doing fucking 6 hours of streaming and still be completely fine, right? But there are other reasons why I do it, and it's not money. It's certainly not money. Like, why aren't you constantly pumping out merchandise? Your audience wants merchandise. Why aren't you constantly making merchandise?
Yeah.
Why?
See, well, I don't do it because I feel bad when they buy things with their money.
Okay, but profit is not the only incentive, is what I'm saying, because it goes back to you fostering your community. Same with me. It like a part of it is because I'm lazy, but also because I feel weird, like just constantly fucking pumping out product that they're buying. So that's it. So obviously, even in your own personal worldview, you have different incentives that force you to do things outside of profit. Because human beings, no matter how much we're trained to think that we're only operating on profit, that's not the only reason why people do shit. A lot of people get satisfaction from helping others. A lot of people get satisfaction from going out to like...
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if the infrastructure works that way, do you feel like it could put a strain on people trying to thrive and do good? If you put them in a situation where, let's say their charity is rolling and now they come from like rank 5 charities to rank 1, right? And the guy is like, is still making like 60K or something like that. And the CEO of number 60 or third or fourth or fifth is making like 3 mil, right? I think it's difficult when you're surrounded by the difference to continue on and do good when there's this big gap. Do you understand? Like, even if you're not all about the money.
Yeah. Okay, go on. Even if you're not all about the money with charities, what was your?
Well, it feels kind of weird. Like I don't know. Like I feel like, yeah. I can't word my thoughts. This is a little bit complicated.
Well, at the heart of the matter is problems that are unsolvable or seemingly unsolvable, right? There are issues. Nobody would say that there aren't fucking issues in society, right? Everyone knows like poverty is a problem, famine is a problem, you know, climate change is a problem, right? These are all unsolvable problems. I want to solve those problems not by charity that relies on people getting fucking tax breaks so they can like, people taking as many profits as possible and then like giving it to their charity that they want to, like in a way privatizing the essential functions and services of the government. I want to solve those problems by making sure that our government actually represents us. And I want to do that by changing the way the government works. And I think one way to do that is by giving power and more autonomy to the people that are just everyday workers, like everyday laborers. And the way to do that starts in the workplace. And it's just, in the short term, the best example to look to is Nordic countries. And it's not an accident that these countries where like the minimum wage, for example, is insanely high in comparison to the United States of America, they also, surprise, have a 90% unionized workforce, or a 98% of the workforce is under a is covered by a union negotiated contract.
Makes sense.
That's why it works in those fucking countries, and they still have billionaires. Norway and Sweden have more billionaires per capita than the United States of America. They literally have more fucking billionaires per capita than we do. So obviously, it's not even fucking eradicating billionaires.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have one last question sort of related to that. That's my last thing. I gotta go. Okay. Okay. This is gonna be a very weird take or weird question, and because I always sometimes, since I don't know like everything, I have questions that are very based into the fundamentals. So very like, it's not because I don't understand the specifics of the entire branch of idea, but I try to reconsider the very root of the branch, so I have a better understanding of the whole branch, like taxes. Why is it that people, let's say when they're 18, 19, 20, this will sound weird, let's say make a company or whatever, they'll be taxed the same amount as people that are end of life or old? When somebody is popping off, when they're emerging, when they're growing, why are you cutting them off? And why are you bottlenecking them as much as you're bottlenecking somebody who is end game, who already finished, who's already done? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that's why there's like...
Shouldn't you be helping them? Shouldn't you be
You
like
mean helping them by?
compelling?
You mean helping them by like giving them less of a tax burden than someone who's dying? So that's why there's a concept called the estate tax. First of all, when you die, the government takes a bunch of your money and like puts it into programs that help others in the next generation that comes up. But
Okay, well, let's say right now, dude. I had $0, right? And you, Hasan, you gave me 20K, and I made a business right now. Boom, right? And I'm selling plastic bars, right? And then this year, right? I'm making like 500K because everybody likes my plastic bars. Like I'm rolling it. But I just started my company, right? Like I'm still young, growing, and there's so many opportunities and things that are coming to the future because I just started, right? It's like I'm young. Why would I be taxed as much as somebody who's already done, who already finished all the processes? They've seen all the colors, all the motions. They saw everything. Why would I be? If there's potential, if I'm rolling it,
well, you don't though. You don't, like, here's how that works. Like, if you are a business, that's entirely different than you being if you're a business, you're taxed differently than if you are an individual. It's the same in Canada, I assume. That's how it is in America. And
like, see the potential of it and try to help it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So like, there's less of a tax burden on businesses as long as you're reinvesting that capital that you're generating back into your business. So that's how that works already. And
right.
And it also, that's why like there is such a thing as progressive taxation, where like when you're younger, you don't own a lot of assets. You don't have a house. You don't own anything, right? So when you're younger, you are actually getting taxed less than older people because you're poorer than when you are older. So that's how that works as well. Like you're actually, it doesn't seem like it, but you are technically getting taxed less than older people usually.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
one of the reasons why.
But you get subsidies too. Someone is pointing out in the chat that in Canada you get subsidies and tax breaks in the first year of your business creation. Yeah, that makes sense too. Like, because they want more businesses to flourish.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like what if somebody was kind of broke and then they took loans to go to school to get education, to go to college, and now they're in debt. And it's stacking, and they finally get to the workplace, right? And they get a job that pays pretty well, right? And then bang, they're fucking taxed as much as fucking people who've been done with school and been working for fucking 60 years. Like, dude, what the fuck, man? Dude, I can't even breathe out here, man. You're cutting me through the. Like I'm drowning, and
you know there's a cycle, right? You mentioned three things in that beginning, where you said you pay for school and you have so much debt, right? Yeah, that's why school should be fucking free, because you educating yourself makes you a better part of the labor force. It makes sure that we're literally min-maxing our labor force when we fucking make schools free, so that people can pursue whatever they want to do and get better at it and pursue their passions. And that's how you literally have a country that grows and is better, right? But school, but there are people out there that don't want to make it free. They don't want to make school free so that like everyone can pursue education. And when you're crippled with debt, then you take a fucking job that you normally wouldn't take. Or then you're more willing to take on less wages than you normally would. It's about keeping the workforce, like I said.
That's just gatekeeping.
Yeah, it's just about keeping the workforce as poor as possible and as hungry as possible, so that they're constantly fucking fighting amongst themselves. You see what I'm saying? And then it still stems from the people at the top and the older people not paying that much in taxes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because
I get it.
Because how are you going to pay for the school? How are you going to pay for the teachers? Well, you got to fucking get their taxes, right? You got to get taxes from those people and fund the schools back, so the schools are fucking free, so you no longer have to worry about crippling debt and have more power to turn around and be like, yo, I actually fucking don't want to take this job. I want to do I want to do a job that I would be better equipped in doing.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like some people don't even have the option. Like, even if they were to take a lot of risk and a lot of sacrifice to go to school, they literally cannot, right? Like if somebody's household needs money to like survive, um, um, I think a lot of individuals, even if they were to take the risk, they can't even do it. To where they would go to school and their family would still survive. It would be like actually impossible. So now they're like gate kept eternally, right?
Yeah,
they're
the underclass, the permanent underclass is gate kept forever. That's why it's very difficult for poor people to become wealthy. It's not that easy to just like fucking. You have to be really lucky too. Like I think you watched that Meritocracy video. Remember the Veritasium one about like how luck plays a significant role in like people succeeding. Because I remember
right.
I think that's the truth. It's like one of the main things that fucking people lie about is meritocracy. That like every single person that is wealthy and successful is wealthy and successful because they worked harder and worked smarter than everyone else. Sure, hard work is incredibly important. Okay, obviously, if you don't fucking work hard, it's gonna be very difficult for you to achieve success. Working smart is very important too. But there's also additional circumstances that play a role that we don't think about. Like people who are wealthy offering their next of kin, their next generation, opportunities that people who are poor will not be able to do. One of those opportunities is to be able to pay for fucking school, for example, for their kids, and networking opportunities for their kids as a consequence of going to those schools. You know? Yeah,
exactly. Meritocracy is a good way to see it.
So I don't like to finish this off. Like I'm not saying that like everything needs to be completely equal across the board. That would really suck the life out of the world. I like to compete, but I think that at the very least, at the bottom, we should be offering people certain things that I know we can that greatly improves their lives, because in the long term, that will benefit us more. Because you have no idea, and neither do I, have no idea what kind of fucking gems are out there in like India or in an African fucking country that will never be able to reach their true potential because they were fucking born in Africa. Like, what are you going to do? You were just born in Rwanda. So now you're fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I said, what I said last time.
It's your spawn point. It's a bad spawn.
With the person with the glasses, they might have the true worth that's better than anybody on earth, whatever. But they'll never be able to reach that because they don't have the tools to explore it. Yeah. Like if a buddy's eyesight's like you could see close or far, maybe you'll have somebody who can see the other planets with his bare eyes, but he doesn't have the glasses to see it, right? So like the basic tools, he doesn't have them. So there's a lot of like lost potential. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, there's one thing about meritocracy. That's a good topic. I always think about that, about the things that you deserve, or the things that you get through work or luck. Sometimes it's difficult. You have to remain grounded, right? Yeah, it's why I always talk about like the motions, doing like the motions. You know, having like a good foundation, a good structure, a good infrastructure that will do good and will do better if luck is involved. But regardless of if no luck, it'll still do good.
Yeah, right? Certain protections are a necessity, is what I believe in. Like certain things that you need to survive that will greatly improve your efficiency as a worker should be fucking offered to you by participating in the social contract, by participating in society. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't have to fucking constantly worry about a roof over your head, or in America, for example, if you didn't have to constantly fucking worry about like losing your health care if you lose your job, you would be able to go and work for a place that you could potentially be better at, in a field that you could be potentially better at, just like the education thing that I just mentioned to you before.
Right. Yeah.
Like maybe some people are literally like, I need to go into finance, right? I need to go into finance because, you know, I can, after 4 years, I can go out and like work 80 hours a week, but make $100,000 a year so I can like pay for my college education immediately. So they like pursue finance when they could have been better doctors, but they were afraid that, you know, the 200 to 400 additional thousands of dollars in student loan debt would be too much for them. So they didn't want to take on that endeavor. Maybe that guy was a fucking sick doctor and we just missed out on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe there's an insane scientist living in fucking Indonesia right now, but he's stuck in a sweatshop making Nikes for us. And we have no fucking idea. And we'll never be able to unlock his true potential. And we'll never be able to solve cancer because of that. You know, I'm just making shit up. But if we were able to offer people safety, we could unlock everyone's true potential. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I feel like that's very logical. It's not like it doesn't have to be rooted in some like socio-ecologic or like a socio-political economic system. Like, I think just the base fact that's logic, regardless of how you get there or whatever. Your solution might be rooted in some political answer, but I think that is logical, right?
Yeah,
I think most people can agree on that.
Yeah, but we've been conditioned into thinking that like even that kind of mentality is fucking crazy. It's socialism and it's therefore bad, and that sucks because it's like having this conversation with you can have this conversation with anyone on the planet, and they would probably agree with you unless they are in a position where they just do not want to even reflect on the realities. Right? Where they're like, nope, the world is vicious and everyone has to be individualistic because everyone will fuck one another over and it doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck about the kid in Indonesia. I want $5 sneakers. Fuck that kid. Like, that's the mentality that some people have. And that's unfortunately currently the way that the system is organized, so that any sort of conversation that goes against that threatens the very fabric of society. So everyone is conditioned into being fearful of even discussing these sorts of things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I can see some of that.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I think it's really weird on my stream when I talk about like, because I had like a lot of real jobs before.
What did you do before? I didn't even know. What did you do?
I did a door knocking for a landscaping company. I did a paper delivery. I did janitor for a while.
Bro, think about that. You were a fucking janitor and now you're the largest Twitch streamer. People always, janitors are an example, a great example. Whenever I say like, as a janitor, like a janitor should even have a say in what happens in a company. Everyone always says like, what, you mean the janitor becomes the fucking CEO? It's like, no, motherfucker. No, but the janitor is still an essential part of that fucking service. Just because their labor is replaceable, because it's not very difficult to train someone to become a janitor, does not change the reality the janitor knows exactly what the fuck to do.
Well, on top of that, the janitor goes around. I would go everyone on in the factory. So I would see all the employees from low tier to high tier, how they interact, how they take their breaks, how they eat food, how they interact with one another, how to interact with different levels of employees. Like I could take a lot of mental notes about like how everybody is acting, even though I'm just mopping the floor. I mean, I'm still paying attention, you know. So yeah. I knew a lot of things that were going on in the sphere. But
you were fortunate enough that you unlocked your potential, and now you do something and you get fucking paid insane amounts of money for it. But like, you also love your job. My goal is so that everyone can fucking love their job. And even as a janitor, you probably would have been happier working at the company with doing what you do, even if it's fucking mopping floors and shit, if you had, one, you were getting paid better. Two, people recognized the value that they bring to the corporation, regardless of how replaceable your work is. And three, if you had a fucking say in what went on in the corporation, like if you truly owned your work right now as a streamer in the way that you do, right? You own your work now. Like, you make business decisions. Today, you're like, I'm going to fucking talk to Hasan, so I'm not going to start streaming until later in the day, right? You can't do that as a janitor. But if you were able to make some decisions, at least as like a lower rung employee, if you were able to have a little bit more power within the corporation, and if you got a larger share of the profits, or at least a say in what you do with the profits of the corporation, you would feel personally invested in the company.
True.
And that's what I think we should do more.
That's a good point. Also, I think that's one of like the most valuable skill in the workplace that we'll have is showing interest and involvement into whatever they're doing, right? I feel like if you're interested in what you're doing and you ask questions and you look around and you pay attention and you take notes, right? It makes the people above you or like your boss or whatever, I don't know, it makes them really happy to see that you care and you ask questions. I feel like it's very, very valuable for a worker. People above you will see you as really good, right? So whenever they would give my first tour, right, of the factory when I was a janitor, I took my phone out and I record the run, right? Because it's like a run, right? You have to go through the entire fucking huge building. And I recorded and I would ask questions like, hey man, okay, what about this spot? You know, do this, that. And
were you speed running?
well, sort of. But they like that a lot. It's like nobody's ever asked them before, right? Everywhere I worked at, I would always like be really passionate about what I'm doing because I would like ask questions, you know. The people who are above me, I take notes on how they're doing it and it's like that. And I think the people most of the time, I feel like people that are above you, they will be receptive to that, and they will give you some tips, and they will give you advice, and they'll be happy to do it, and they'll be happy to see your progress. And I think that's very valuable, right?
Yeah, it's good management. Instead of telling you like shut the fuck up, and do your job, to give you more of an incentive to make you feel like you are a larger part of the company, and you are a large part of the company in that situation. So, but in a lot of instances, that's not how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but it would if you had more power, and if you were more incentivized to not just work for a fucking wage, but also felt like a ownership over what you're doing.
Yeah. I think that's I think we round the discussion pretty well. I like that. I think I understand more about what you meant about the beginning. So my dog is barking.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm gonna go now, but that was really good. I enjoyed that.
All right, man. This was a good conversation. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, it was, man. Thanks for doing it with me, man.
All right, word. Let me know when you want to play Among Us later, so we can yell at each other.
All right, man. See you later, dude.
All right, peace, dude.
Peace out.
Please don't forget to subscribe, because a lot of people that watch my videos don't subscribe apparently, and hit that bell. I'm also live every day on twitch.tv/Hasanabi after 11 a.m. Pacific.